Jeff Bezos didn't build a trillion-dollar company and empire by accident. It's all cause and effect. So what if you ran your business like Amazon? In this video, I'm gonna break down 3 specific strategies you can steal from Amazon to get more leads, get more business, dominate your market this year. Let's get on with it. I'll start this video before breaking down the 3 main points. I want to find my favorite quote from Jeff Bezos, and I feel like this is so relevant to real estate specifically. When I have a good quarterly conference call with Wall Street, people will stop me and say, congratulations on your quarter, and I say thank you, but what I'm really thinking is that quarter was made 3 years ago. And this is so relevant to real estate because oftentimes nowadays, if you're generating any strangers, aside from like your referrals, aside from your sphere of influence, most of the times, unless like you're doing something like cash offers and people like need to do something now, it's like middle of the funnel to top of the funnel people that are going to be ready to sell in like 4, 5, 6 months to 12, right? Of course, like if you go above than that, it's tough, but oftentimes if you're targeting like people with their need is like even middle of the funnel people, they're not going to sell tomorrow. And so oftentimes I feel like in real estate, people lack this. Therefore, they start a lead gen method, they quit, they start a new one. They get on a new fancy object, they quit, and they start a new fancy object, they quit. And like they keep repeating the cycle over and over again. But, if you're planting the right seeds, then if you think in terms of like a year or 2, 3, then you'll be able to like evaluate correctly if what you're doing works or you're just wasting your time, right? And so that's kind of the long-term thinking, which oftentimes is tough. I mean, it's tough for me too, but I feel like with real estate, especially since these people are like making the biggest move of their life, like it's tough. But it's definitely required to succeed with any lead gen. But like I'll start with point number 3. So automate your lead gen like it's prime delivery. So this is pretty straightforward, but if you think about it, like Amazon is just a system. And oftentimes for people, I see people like, doing stuff with like the lead generation, they might be doing the right thing, but it's like a total mess. For example, they might be running a Facebook ad, a Google ad, they don't even track anything, they don't know like where the leads are coming from, like it's a whole mess. So what you need to do is break down every piece, build a tracking spreadsheet, and track every single metric that's relevant, of course. For example, you're running Facebook ads, you don't care about CPMs, whatever. You care what's the cost per qualified lead, per appointment, per transaction, etc. And if you track that, you'll be able to actually improve what you're doing over time and make it work. But if you don't track it, then you're never going to do it, right? So I always think about like if you manage to automate your lead gen like like Amazon did with its systems, then it gets a whole lot easier to break the pieces down, improve it like piece by piece, and over time build a machine, right? But if you don't even know where the leads are coming from, what are the metrics for each platform, it's a whole mess. So you start with that, and then I included like play the long game, but that's kind of relevant to the quote. Now, second point, build for scale. This is kind of following the third point. Like Amazon didn't start trying to sell everything to everyone, right? It started with books, but it always planned to scale, okay? And so I oftentimes do this mistake myself. Sometimes you get stuck in $10 an hour tasks that could be outsourced to a virtual assistant. And like there are people like that are willing to do those tasks for you. And if your time is worth more than $10 an hour, then you should do whatever you can to outsource those tasks. And it is a lesson that I've learned over and over again. Because for me, I always want to be the one doing everything. I like to be in control, right? But Bezos built systems. He didn't deliver the package, like he didn't deliver like Amazon packages himself. Otherwise, he will still be doing that and not be a billion-dollar company, right? So, skill tactics, number 1, outsource everything that doesn't require your license. So I could add like anything that doesn't require your license or your skill. For example, if you break down what you do during the day, something that might require your skill is prospecting, if you are really skilled in cold calling. Something that requires your skill is taking a listing appointment, or something that requires your skill is planning what's gonna be the next, like how the next quarter is gonna look like, and what are gonna be the next steps to grow the business. That is something that is tough to outsource unless you find really high, like really quality talent, right? But what I mean by that is, for example, posting just sold on social media. That doesn't require a high degree of skill. You can find people who are going to do that for really cheap. Or outsource, for example, follow-ups. Get a caller who's going to call your leads on your behalf, because oftentimes, or right now, AI, for example, I'm working on an AI that's going to call my clients' leads. That requires a degree of skill, but is trainable pretty fast. You can train somebody to go through a script, go through a conversation, ask questions, and if the leads are intentional enough to where they actually have a need, then it's pretty straightforward to just go from there and book the appointment. The second thing with standardized workflows, I recently did something myself with like my business. When if you think about it, you do stuff consistently that is standardized. You do some tasks that are you do tasks consistently that look like the same. For example, every day you do X, Y, Z. So create a workflow for that. And if you can outsource to do it, but even if you don't, now you have a workflow to go through like a checklist, and you don't have to use brain power. Because the thing about Jeff Bezos I love, he says, I sleep 8 hours, whatever, because in my day, I only have to make 3 good, high quality decisions. Most of us, including me, we're taking thousands of decisions every single day. He takes 3, but the problem is that we all have the same amount of energy and decision-making fatigue. So if you take 3 decisions, those decisions are going to be massive. Like, they're going to have a massive impact. But if you take thousands, then most of the times, like the decision 992 is going to probably be terrible, right? And then lastly, invest in tech plus people early. The goal is not to work more. The goal is to work on your business, not in it. So, and Bezos didn't ship faster himself. He built the system. Now, last point, which is really point number 1, is client experience. And this is something that you probably heard about Bezos. And if you think about it, the reason why Amazon won so hard, compared to all the other businesses, is average e-commerce buys a product from China, ships it over to your house after 3 months, and the product is terrible. Amazon ships after 1 day, and the product is good, decent, oftentimes. So that's why I won. There's no competition against most of the e-commerces out there that are drop shipping, whatever they're doing, compared to Amazon. So what he says, I love this quote, we're not competitor obsessed, we're customer obsessed. Because once you, if you have the best client experience out there, people are going to rant about you. And of course, everybody has a sphere, but every transactions that you, or every home that you sell, every house that you sell, or every person you help buying a house, they rant about you with somebody else, your business grows pretty fast. Now, of course, it's not easy to create a client experience like Amazon, but that should be the number 1 goal, of course, on top of building the acquisition system for real estate. But oftentimes it's hard to make these things tangible. So I try to make them tangible. For example, frictionless experience from showing to closing. How frictionless it is for your clients to go through the process, in the sense of and you can always optimize this. You never reach a point where everything is 100% frictionless. Nothing is perfect, right? We're trying to get to that level. And then preemptively solve problems for a client ask. For example, you have buyers, first-time home buyers, whatever. They're going to have similar problems to each other. So you can create an onboarding packet for every buyer and seller, answering whatever, top 10 questions. That's just an example. But you can preemptively solve problems for them before they start working with you. You can already plan out the common problems that people face and automate those we did in point number 3. And then lastly, use reviews as leverage, because at that point, that's what Amazon did. if you have the best experience, then on top of the reviews, you can leverage referrals and you can amplify your circle pretty fast. So that's it for this video. I hope I really enjoy talking about the people that I'm studying and how it relates to real estate and how it relates to business in general. If you have any questions about this video specifically, drop a comment below, leave a like, subscribe, and if you would like us to come in and build a listing acquisition machine in your business, then click the link below. You find a link to book a call. You can book it. You can go through my website, what we did for our clients, whatever, and then on the call we'll see for a fit, whatever. If we can help, that's great. If not, either way, just provide you some value. But hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you inside the next video.